Okay, so welcome everyone who is listening live with us this morning, and hello to everyone who's listening to this recording. This is the second session or webinar in the STEAM series, which started yesterday. Yesterday we talked about engineering, and today we are focusing on technology. So GM-LEN have organised these school to industry webinars for students. I can see someone's jumped on already, so feel free, any of the attendees or students that have jumped on to listen to us, pop your name in the chat bar and let us know where you're from. I can see we've got Grace. So yeah, let us know where you're from. We'd like to know where you're from, whether you're from Shepparton or another town. So these school to industry webinars have got different themes, and this week is National Careers Week. So the students would be very familiar with the acronym STEM. Their teachers would have talked to them about gaining vet and academic qualifications around STEM. This week we're actually calling it STEAM because we've thrown in an extra one, and that's the arts. So STEAM is made up of science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics. And these webinars will go on for another 2 weeks after that, so with other different topics. I can see we've got Sue, so thanks Sue for joining us. Okay, so I basically just want to get started and do a little bit of an introduction around our screen. And there is one person who's in the background, and that's Michael. So Michael Lyons is a visual studio manager from Spire. And Michael is actually out on site today, so that's why we can't see him, but he is in the background and he is able to answer any questions and participate in the conversation. So he's doing some photography, I believe, on a visual impact study for a solar farm. Is that right, Michael?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, great. Okay, so Spire's a pretty progressive organisation, and you have businesses in Shepparton, Bendigo, Albury, Canberra, Melbourne. Is there anywhere I've missed?
Canberra
well? And Geelong. Geelong?
Yeah, Geelong. Yeah, that's right. So it's across architecture, landscape architecture, engineering, planning, and survey. And yeah, we all work quite closely together. So yeah, today I'm out with the survey team, getting some photos for a proposed solar farm just outside Geelong.
Excellent. Okay, we have Chris Cotton, who's the Director of Advanced Computing. Hello, Chris, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Liz.
So I see on your website, Chris, your title is also Solutions Director.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, thanks.
I like some of these new fancy titles that we're getting across jobs these days.
Yeah.
So you offer cloud computing, IT support, software, training, development.
Yeah, so we've got offices in Kai and Shepparton. We obviously have a lot of people working remote at the moment, but yeah, so we sort of bridge that gap between traditional IT services and support for businesses and organisations and software development. So we sit nicely in between. So we do a lot of custom software development, and we look after a lot of businesses in Northern Victoria and across Australia.
Great, excellent. How many staff work with Advanced Computing?
30.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. And we've got Anthony Murphy, who's the founder and head of growth. There's another great title. I've also heard the term growth hustler from another business. So, Anthony, I reckon that could even fit with you as well, hey?
Definitely.
The growth hustler.
For all of us.
So from Attention Media, so digital media marketing, social media marketing. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So we're a digital marketing agency focused on social media, digital marketing, paid advertising, so Google ads, Facebook ads, and yeah, really working with businesses in e-com and lead gen. So we have quite a number of companies from around the Golden Valley, and that's our focus is local business, regional business for us. So it's about trying to bring the services that are typically found in the big agencies in the capital cities, and bring that to the Goulburn Valley, bring it to Shep, and have those services available for regional business.
Great. And how many years has Attention Media been running?
Started it in the bedroom at home about 3 years ago now, and we've been in the High Street office here since early, when was it? February this year. So
Great.
It's been good.
Excellent. And then we've got Ashley Jones. Ashley is a Research and Development Manager with the TELUS Group, which is Australian Munitions. Now, this makes this panel very diverse this morning. So TELUS Group serves the defence, security, transport. So tell us a little bit about the TELUS Group, Ashley.
Yeah, TELUS itself is a wide and diverse global company, about 80,000 employees. They cover off all air transport. About half the world's air transport is controlled through TELUS. About 80% of banking transactions are encrypted through TELUS technology. We cover off ticketing as well. We did New Zealand ticketing. There's a whole range of different diverse areas within TELUS. More specifically, though, my role is within the it's defence and commercial, but on energetic materials. So we manufacture high explosives, propellants, explosive ordnance products.
Okay, so you blow things up, is that right?
Yes, I blow stuff up sometimes.
Sometimes, okay. Excellent.
On purpose.
So yeah, welcome everyone. So obviously today's theme is about technology. And I can see Maggie has also joined us. So thanks very much, Maggie. So I'm going to kick off with some questions now, and I'll start with you, Ashley. So I want you to sort of take yourself back to years 11 and 12 from where you're at school and through to today, and just briefly, what were the main steps, study and training that were involved for you to get to your career point?
Yeah, I guess 11 and 12, that was a long time ago for me. But I do remember that I had an interest in science. I had a strong interest in science. So I did a lot of science subjects, maths, chemistry. But I didn't have a particular love of, actually what I did have a particular interest in more mathematics and biology at that point in time. But I did, after I left high school, I went to uni, and through that I did a science degree which had a bit of microbiology, a bit of mathematics, a bit of chemistry, and a bit of biochemistry. So I covered off a range of different subject matters because I actually didn't know what I wanted to do.
So you kept it fairly broad.
Yeah, I kept it pretty broad. Then I sort of gravitated towards chemistry, and particularly organic chemistry. So I did a PhD on synthetic organic chemistry. That's a long time ago, in the 90s. So from that, I actually didn't stay in organic chemistry. I found a job, a postdoctoral position in surface science and technology, which is, again, it's a bit of a shift there. And so I did that for about 5 years. And then I found a role at Australian Munitions doing product development and R&D work. And that is a totally different field altogether as well. So it's more formulation science. It's got a bit of engineering in it. It's got a whole heap of project management and other skills that I had to grapple with, I guess, at the time. So within the science sort of area, I've sort of moved across different fields of science, I guess. Yeah. Which is, I actually, it's been, because I do research and development, it's actually quite beneficial to have more of a broader experience, but still have, I guess, specialisation in some knowledge. areas.
Great. Okay. That's terrific. Thank you for that. So Chris, tell us a little bit about your journey and where you started from as to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. I think maybe similar to Ashley, I had an interest in science and electronics, throughout school. I sort of gravitated towards IT subjects as I was sort of getting, further into high school. Year 11 and year 12, studied those sort of similar subjects. When I finished high school, I applied for computer science degrees and thought about taking a gap year at the time, and the opportunity to do a traineeship with the company with Advance came up, and thought I could really, that'd be handy, getting paid to play with computers for a year. So I did that and never left. So I started as a trainee. I did a Cert 2 at the time in IT. Once I completed that, I stayed on with advanced computing, did a whole range of different technical certifications over the years. So I've done a lot of Microsoft certifications and courses and that sort of stuff over the past, I guess, 20 years. I've sort of moved through a range of different technical roles, and ended up sort of in an account management / solutions role, where I'm working with clients to actually bridge the gap between what they're trying to achieve from a technology point of view and what's out there, either pre-existing or something we can build to help them meet that requirement. So yeah, it's good. I get to talk technology, but more so outcomes, I suppose, with the clients that I work with, which is really great. So yeah, I get
a different path to Ashley then. Really a lot of on the job. Yeah, with your traineeship, you were learning and training along the way.
Yeah, exactly right. And some of that was really born out of the fact that in the Goulburn Valley or north regional areas, we really don't have a lot of IT talent. So there's I guess a different path to into those careers. There's only a finite amount of existing IT professionals and only a finite amount that are graduating from university or wanting to move back to the area. So traineeships has been something that we've been passionate about as a company, but obviously I'm passionate about as well. So we've done a lot of work in that area to really not only with our own company, but we've helped Microsoft design and develop a traineeship program that's been launched Australia-wide, which is really exciting.
Great. I'm also going to just let our attendees know that if you do have any questions for our panellists, just to type them into the chat bar, and I can direct your question to the group or to any individual. And I want to just jump to Michael before I forget him, because he's not on screen, our visual studio manager. So Michael, how long have you been in your role at Spire?
So I've been in my role. I'm sort of new to Spire. I started last December.
Okay.
With Spire, and before that, it's a bit of a story before that. But I had my own business for about 10 years called Kid Neon, and we were servicing the architectural and sort of retail design market for visual communications.
Okay.
I sort of built up a team, and then we were acquired by a large consulting company as part of their digital department. And then I decided it was a bit more financial, so I moved back to the architectural engineering area and joined Spire.
Great. So was architecture something you studied? When you were leaving school?
I studied a couple of things, actually. I studied fine arts, architecture, and film. Yeah. I think they've got one course that does all that these days, but in my day, I think that's where my interests sort of took me. Yeah.
Okay, great. So there might be some commonalities maybe with Anthony in regards to digital media. What's your journey been Anthony, since you left school?
Yeah, a little bit unorthodox. So I was actually homeschooled, oldest of 8 kids, and we were homeschooled. So I completed year 11 and then did some stat and SAT exams in order to get the equivalent to get into uni. I started working part-time with the family business. My dad and I own a business in Benalla in the food industry. So I actually started working there. I was working full-time. Did the necessary exams and stuff in order to get into uni, and actually got into uni to do health sciences or get into the sport and exercise space. And a year into that, I didn't really have any particular career path, any particular kind of direction. I loved sport, and I thought, look, if I can get into uni, get a degree, and get some sort of career in the sports industry, that would be pretty awesome. But 10 months into uni, that first year, Dad gave us a call and said that there was a quality assurance position available at the business, and they wanted to offer it to me before they went job hunting. So I thought about that for a couple of weeks, and given the fact that I didn't have any particular career aspirations in sports at that time, I then decided that I loved business, always loved being a part of the family business and going to work with Dad. So I thought, these opportunities don't come up all the time. So I took that, dropped out of uni, and I spent the next just over 10 years working in the family business, from sort of the production floor through the quality management role, all the way up to like a sales and general manager type role.
So Anthony, what was the family business? Sorry if I missed that.
So the business is called Murfac. It's in Benalla in the food industry. So basically they're a seed and grain processor / flour mill, and supply all the big manufacturers like Uncle Toby's and Vitasoy and that sort of thing. And then over that period, over that 10-year period, social media became a thing, became very popular, and the whole digital marketing and online space is something that I really, really enjoyed. I was really passionate about, and ended up starting a podcast in 2014 around those sort of topics. And people started asking me, can you help us with this? Can you help us with that? I was like, yeah, sure. And I ended up starting to work with a local accounting firm here in Shep back in 2016. And from there, it just started to grow to the point where I was just taking on clients, doing the work after hours, all that sort of thing. And that's how Attention Media started. So that all sort of started from home, and it grew to the point where I left the family business and went full-time in July last year, and the rest is history.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. And it just goes to show that that was sort of going to be my next question to you all, was there one pivotal moment along that journey that obviously changed your career path or catapulted you further along in your career? So Anthony, I'm guessing that obviously that move from the family business to digital social media was something for you.
I mean, like the pivotal moment there not necessarily one pivotal moment, but I think there was it was something that very much enjoyed and could see myself doing a lot more. And then there was one moment where I had a podcast with a friend who actually ran his own agency over in WA. And I remember getting off that podcast, and he's the same age as me, and he'd started his own agency and he was working with brands like Boral and Red Bull, and having great success. And I remember getting off that podcast and thinking to myself, like, that is absolutely awesome. That's exactly what I want to be doing, running my own agency, working with great brands. And from there, it was just about putting in the work and making it all happen.
Great. So obviously exposure to that gave you a lot of energy, and that's where you felt, wow, I could see myself doing this. Yeah,
definitely.
Excellent. What about you, Chris? Was there a pivotal moment for you, or deciding
Yeah,
time, or?
I think sort of, obviously throughout high school, I was very interested in gaming and all that sort of stuff, and realised at the time that industry was quite small. And I found that I had a natural ability to, whether it was building PCs or networks or any of that sort of stuff, and thought, well, hang on, every business and every organisation needs IT, and I can get paid to play with computers all day. So that was probably the sort of idea at 15 or 16 or something like that, and then to be able to walk into a role at 17 straight after school was sort of started that progression, I guess, and it just went from there. So it went from basic sort of fixing PCs and building networks all the way through to designing corporate systems for multi-million-dollar companies. So yeah, it was that sort of really planted the seed, and then it was just a natural progression.
Yeah. Okay. Michael, are you still with us?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What was your was there a deciding moment or pivotal moment in your career that took you a different path, or confirmed the career that you thought you wanted to continue with?
Yeah, I think when I was at school, and I think I did a wide variety of things because I wasn't, too sure on the career path I wanted to do. So I did sort of a wide range of subjects. But I did find that that I really enjoyed and ended up spending a lot of time in the creative subjects. And
Okay.
and I felt really comfortable in that space. I got really good feedback from all the subjects that I took. And I quite enjoyed it. So I think when I was at school, that was that was something that I had to look at through school. Looking at turning that sort of interest into more of a career style thing where you can build a career around.
So you were already thinking ahead as to where this could lead you.
Yeah. In terms of career wise, I think when I was in industry for quite a while, and within the space that I work in, which is creating images for architecture and retail designers. I quite enjoyed that, and then sort of just going in, understanding how industry works, and dealing with clients and whatever else, and then looking to go out on my own with that sort of confidence of that you sort of know the ropes and you have an understanding how things sort of work, and that you can sort of manage all those things that come with it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, obviously, Ashley, you're going back to obviously school, and your career today is has spanned over many years. Was there one pivotal moment for you before a typical day in your life? But
probably lots of micro pivots, or not any one big moment that I can think of. I think I'm constantly doing things that I have no idea what I'm doing. So it's in the areas that I'm a chemist in an engineering organisation essentially. So I'm dealing with chemists or engineers all the time. I'm dealing with a lot of technologies that I may be familiar with and have some basic knowledge, but I'm not certainly an expert on, and I have to then build up some level of expertise. But that's half the challenge, half the fun of doing what I do is just being involved in all those different elements.
So can you, sorry to, because I know I'm just conscious of time as well. Can you give us some idea of what a typical day in the life of Ashley looks like?
I get up in the morning, I go to work, and when I'm at work, I have a plan, and then that usually goes out the window. But a lot of the time, what I'm doing is, I do a lot of production support and also the development work. So there's a lot of project management. So we'll look at project management sort of activities. There's a lot of engagement with different functional areas within the organisation. So talking to finance or talking to quality, talking to supply, etc. And also the science around and analysis, the work that we're doing. So there's a bit of work that's been done. I'm more of a manager role, so I have to manage my group and the people within that group to get the various activities done that we need to get done for the day. So generally, in an ideal day, I'd wake up, go to work, plan out certain activities, but that doesn't always happen. So it's more around what's come up, how do I address this issue, and then find a solution. And that's part of the work. Part of it is I don't love to find solutions because it's just enjoyable when you do find solutions sometimes. But so it's around those sort of activities. It's just I couldn't actually specify exactly. From a day-to-day point of view, it's not a routine job. So, but I think if I had a routine job, which I knew what I was doing every day, I'd probably be bored.
Yeah, so obviously problem solving is a big tick of the box, and obviously using the skills within your team to help with that. Yeah Great. So Chris, a typical day in the life of a day at Advanced Computing.
Yeah, sure. Well, until recently, a lot of travel. So I could be on a farm in regional New South Wales, and I'm supposed to be in Seattle this week, but obviously that didn't happen. But again, like a lot of finding solutions. I mean, Ashley just spoke about that. It's I could have a lot of meetings with clients. I'll have one, for an example, they'll say, right, we're launching a new product to market. It might be a food manufacturer. Wouldn't it be great if we could show the farm that this produce came from? So obviously it's a great marketing story. How do we technically make that happen? And I sort of look at it and go, well, there's 14 different IT systems that need to talk to each other to allow that to happen. What do we need to do to make that happen? So from a technology point of view, it's a lot of planning and solution design and working out which bits need to be addressed by whether it's software or whether it's hardware or all these bits and pieces in between. So a lot of different work. Obviously with the coronavirus, a lot of businesses are now working remote, so we've been doing a lot of work around how do we allow those businesses to do that. And for some, they've already set up for it. It just means they've needed to scale. But for others, it's like, well, we've never even given any thought to this. How do we re-engineer our whole business to be able to work remotely? So it could be as simple as, hey, I need email, and it could be as complex as, hey, let's completely change the way we're engaging with our customers and the services or products that we're offering. So
you would have had to come up with some fairly quick and prompt solutions with obviously COVID-19.
Yeah, a lot of it's been driven by we do a lot with Microsoft technology, so things like Microsoft Teams has been a massive part of that. Mm-hmm. And then others have really just been the nuts and bolts of how do you get people to physically work remotely, and even just the things like change management and engagement of staff and mental health, and there's a lot of things there that technology can only go so far in doing. So we've always sort of spoken about technology allows us to work remote, but do we really want to? And so that's going to change things going forward.
Yeah, great. And Anthony, if your day doesn't go out the window, or you get distracted by other things, what does your typical day look like?
Yeah, look, for me, typical day involves managing the team here. So we've got a team of 6 now, and we're expanding that. So for me, it's about finding local talent to fill the roles that we have here, and obviously managing that. And then obviously on the client side, managing our clients, onboarding new clients, and just making sure that that all the plates are spinning, and everybody's organised and doing what they need to do. So very much a management type position for me at the moment. A little bit of client work, running Facebook ads and social media and that sort of thing. But yeah, we're definitely in the phase now where we're building out the team, and it's good that we've been able to attract some great local talent already. And we'll definitely be looking for more in the local area as the months go by. But for me, it's in the emails, working with the team, managing social media accounts, and just growing the business.
Great. Okay. Now, Michael's pretty lucky because he's outside today, and the weather's still pretty nice. So, Michael, tell us, what's your typical day look like?
My typical day is quite varied, but most of it really is dealing with production schedules, but really dealing with staff, dealing with people essentially, and just working with people just to try and achieve really good outcomes.
Yeah.
And because projects are never, never sort of black and white. So yeah, essentially, it's just sort of like collaborating with people, just trying to find some interesting approaches to especially our area is visual media, where we're always trying to basically create some really awesome images, some really great work, and it's just collaborating with people really around that. And whether that's the clients who have got a particular vision or an idea of what they're after, and then just sort of working on our side, whether that's with my immediate team or other people in the organisation. Essentially.
Okay, thank you. So one of the themes that I'm sort of getting, apart from obviously the science background, when we talk about technology, is I'm getting this sort of creative element to the roles that you do and the careers that you have, whether it's being a creative thinkers, being quite innovative in solving problems, or being creative along the marketing side as well. So that's really interesting, obviously, out there for students who are sort of thinking, they don't really quite sit in the science box, or, I'm interested in science, but I'm also maybe interested in, the arts or the creative side. So obviously I'm getting, would you agree that there's sort of, it seems to be a bit of a commonality coming through here, which is great. So Michael, while I've got you, what are the characteristics or skills that you need to do your job as a visual studio manager?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of, there's a range of things that will probably fall into creative skills, technical skills, and communication skills. And the creative one is really about, is quite conceptual in terms of, an understanding of how images are put together, understanding of light and colour, and then the technical is to do with like the software, and that sort of broader knowledge of just getting things done on the sort of software and hardware tools front. And then communication is such a key part in terms of being able to communicate amongst the team, but also to the clients and to other people in the project as well. So
Yeah, great. Anthony, for you, skills that you need to tick, or even skills that you're looking for, obviously in relation to technology, when you're looking at even hiring someone within your organisation?
Yeah, exactly. And look, there's obviously a lot of different roles, as there are in many businesses. But one thing that we are really looking for at the moment is people who have experience or are specialists in the world of paid advertising. And it's often a kind of a hard thing to find. It's not it's not an extremely popular career choice, at this stage, but it's definitely growing. And we're just trying to make sure that locally we can provide as many employment opportunities as possible. So anybody who is, really keen on the world of, Facebook or Google advertising, even just social media in general, we're always looking for those sort of people, and having those skill sets is extremely valuable for a business like us.
Excellent. And for advanced computing, what sort of skills are you looking for, Chris?
So I guess a range as well. So obviously the creative part of what we do in terms of being creative from a solution design point of view is important, but obviously even creativity from a marketing or sales point of view is really important as well. It comes down to communication, obviously, whether that's written, verbal. Is such a big part of what we do. A big part of what we do is tailoring our message or what we're trying to achieve to the right audience. So that we could be talking to someone who's extremely technical, or we could be talking to someone who, a business owner that just wants to turn the switch and it turns on. So, we really have to tailor that message. So the things that we look for are really that, I guess, that enthusiasm or keenness to learn. IT is moving so quickly that we can't expect to know everything. So, but that keenness to build a really good ground, base set of skills, and then specialize as you sort of go further into your career is obviously fantastic. Realize we don't know everything, and really leverage each other in that sense. But it really comes down to communication. So the things that we look for are, as simple as a really well-written, cover letter for a role that we advertise. To have taken a keen interest in IT previously, if they're a younger sort of, trainee type role that we're taking people on for. But having someone who's completely technical might not necessarily be what we're looking for, or sometimes it is if it's maybe a software development role or something. So it really depends on the role that we're looking for. But I'd sort of rate English as a core subject from during high school as high as I would IT. So.
Yeah, excellent. And obviously, when you're dealing with your clients or customers too, you obviously need to recognise their knowledge. And as you said, some of them just want the fix. They just want it fixed. They don't need to understand all the background.
Yeah.
And others probably want a little bit more information. So
that's right.
That's where
I was quite happy to talk about it in all technical detail for 2 hours. So it really depends.
Yeah, and Ashley, from obviously a research and development role, and the Talus group, very diverse. But let's just obviously look at your pocket and where you sit. So characteristics of skills that you think a young person, would need to focus on if they were heading down your direction.
I have quite a diverse group, so you would think that most of them came from engineering or chemistry backgrounds, but in fact, I've got aquaculture. I had geologists in the group. Diversity is, from a innovation point of view, one of the what I feel a key feature in able to innovate. So I'm not always looking for a specific science background or anything, or engineering background. What I'm looking for generally is a little bit of passion in terms of wanting to get into the work and solve problems. But I'm also looking at, and as already said, communication skills, it's those soft skills that they're often forgotten about with a lot of people that go into engineering or science, but they're the ones that are key to actually getting anything done. It's, I mean, you don't do your work in a vacuum. You do your work with other people. So you have to engage and influence people to get stuff done.
Okay. So what tips or advice would you give a young person who might be interested in doing what you do?
Well, I think just to be, looking at, well, it'll be, around having a technical capability or a desire to solve problems, having a broad exposure to different technologies, I guess, and also it's those to building up those other skills, like it's not just science, it's business skills and the communication skills. So I agree, yeah, English is a big, the better that you are at communicating, the easier it is, but also understanding the other parts of the business as well and the drivers for them to progress your work, and also focus where the innovation should be. So, I've probably created many things that have gone nowhere, but one day they might go somewhere. So I'm still hoping.
And obviously to have a passion, for what you do, whether it's creating something or solving a problem at the end of the day. And obviously students are aware that English is a big part of year 11 and year 12, and a big part of their the end of year, the exam mark. So obviously that's something that's coming out, and it's obviously important because it's something that they're going to use. So Chris, any tips for our young people out there who are maybe still deciding on which path they take, or deciding on their final subjects, or?
Well, yeah, I guess, and this helps. It's really a knowledge and an appreciation that IT is more than just one thing. So, or, STEAM or STEM's more than one thing. So, it's great to see the diverse range of just the panelists today. So, I mean, even within my company, there's, 6 or 7 different roles, and they're completely different people. And we've had, people join us that might have even had a career change. We've recently employed a chef who had 10 years of chef experience and just had no idea how they might be able to get into IT, and ended up working with us. And, they've got a passion and an interest for IT, have been fixing computers at home and has now sort of joined us. So I guess there's more than one way to get into any of these sort of careers, and that's sort of something that I'm really passionate about. And so I think it's
okay. And Anthony, any tips for young people?
Yeah, look, I think if there's something that you really enjoy, if there's something that you can see yourself doing, I think one of the main things is not to put a heap of pressure on yourself. Like there is so much external pressure out there as you're going through high school, getting towards the end of your education career, heading towards uni, about what are you going to do? What's your career going to be? Like what's the thing that you're going to do for the rest of your life? And you really don't want to have that pressure on yourself, because there's so much time. You're most likely going to be moving from career to career, doing different things over the next 10, 20 years after you do leave school and university. So it's about trying to find have that level of self-awareness to figure out what you really enjoy doing, and then how can you turn that into some sort of employment or work or business, and really drive towards that. I mean, it's exactly what I did. I went into university with no career direction in mind per se, and look at where I am today. I'm running a business, right? So it's more about finding what you want to do, and just working towards that.
Yeah, and often I think young people can get too hung up on, oh my God, I don't know what my passion is. I mean, I've changed careers 3 times, and now I've got my own little business and working, to the time frame that I want to work for. But it's taken me a long time to get to here. So I think there's a lot of pressure on our young people these days before they've even got to a marriage or a mortgage. So that's some really good advice, that they just, you know, should just maybe take a step back and just relax and go, well, you know what, if they maybe, someone in yesterday's webinar gave us some great advice that, you know, have a look online at some of the businesses or organisations that do offer something that you're interested in, and, you know, maybe even ring them up and say, hey, I really like what your organisation does. If I was to look at a role like this, what would you be looking for? I mean, 100%. It's been great that you've all come on board today to share with us your experiences and your knowledge, so that these young people can take that on board.
And I think even
Michael,
locally, I think just the fact that these all exist locally is fantastic as well.
It is. There's so many opportunities locally.
Amazing innovation really happening in our backyard, which is great. And we're exporting that, you know, not only beyond the Goulburn Valley, but, you know, Australia-wide and worldwide, which is really exciting.
Yeah, it is. And we've all, well, I suppose the students have had to study online. So, you know, there is that opportunity that universities offer that as well. So you can, you know, if it's a cost issue or a financial burden on your family, depending what your situation is, then maybe look into, you know, staying at home, studying online, you know, not having to, you know, we all talk about the university experience, but that's not everybody's path, and it's not the only way to get there. So I know Michael's still sitting in the background, so I'm going to just ask him if he's got any tips or advice for our young people that he would have for his role. And then I'm going to move on to the second part of that question, Michael, will be, you know, where do you see the future direction or future industry for a role that you do, being a visual studio manager?
Yeah, so I think like a lot of, as industries develop, just as like the tech industry's developed and sort of diversified, I know that when I was young, when I went through sort of design school and so on, there was no technology really, and you know, and it was quite an emerging field. And then as we know, like today, you know, like every however many years, you know, there's either an economic downturn or like what everyone's facing at the moment. So so there's sort of growth areas of certain industries, and but essentially, you know, if you've got a real passion for something, you know, it's great to sort of follow your passions, and then, but also just look to what's going on in the world in terms of, you know, how large that industry is, and you know, how, you know, your passions could you know, assist with that industry, and you know, and also look at, you know, and just have a step back and look at, you know, some people that are doing some things in that area, and some of the challenges and successes that they've made. I know with my particular area, there's a sort of new wave of technology that's coming along, and we got quite in early on that with a lot of the digital reality works, you know, with the mixed reality and VR and AR, and these are real emerging technologies that, you know, they are slowly maturing. You know, it's a little bit like, you know, mobile phones were sort of a bit clunky, and then you had iPads and so on. Yeah.
So how do you think the future looks for young people? And well, maybe secondly, how do you keep up with this technology advancement? And it moves pretty fast. I know back in the mid 80s, we didn't, when I was working, we didn't even have the internet. And now look where we are.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, and you're right. Things change really quickly. I know some people, and you know, and there's the idea of continuous improvement where, you know, it's not like you'll go and study one thing and then, okay, that's it, that's great, you know, that's in my pocket, that's all good. You know, that sort of gives you a good understanding and a good base for learning in the area. And of course, as we go throughout our careers, we learn more and understand more, and then we share that. We share our experience with teams, and that's what makes, you know, businesses or, you know, creative studios really great, is that you have, you know, a range of different people with great experiences, and I think what, you know, I think what most people find is that, you know, if you're in an area that that you're really engaged with, it's really exciting to see these things develop, to see your works develop, and just to you know, to you know, see these things improve, and be able to be part of that, and also to share that with your team or with clients, and so on.
Yeah, that's great. So Ashley, the future, what does the future hold for our young people, do you think?
Oh, look, there's so many new technology and new things coming up. From a manufacturing point of view or a product point of view, we're looking at like additive manufacturing being one of the new technologies that will be a big focus in the future. I think digitization is a big focus for TELUS globally. Digitalization of products and production processes. There's artificial intelligence, you know, modeling capabilities that we're looking at for a whole range of different skill sets required for all those technologies. So, you know, materials, having a background in materials or having a background in IT would be, you know, key skills going forward, I believe. Yeah, so there's plenty of different technologies. I tend to find out around a lot of technologies either through you know, some of the networking sort of sites like LinkedIn sometimes, or you know, it's hard to keep track of all those sort of technologies, but particularly you know, talking to different people, because they always raise up different technologies as well. And you know, part of my job is working with universities and other organisations, developing new technologies. And when you go and visit those, sometimes you find out you know, what they're doing, so and how that can be applied. Now, a lot of different technologies that we look at, for instance, come from totally different areas of or different fields of products. Like we you know, our whole industry is based on and a lot of manufacturing processes based on manufacturing of like spaghetti or candies.
You apply that to the Defence Force and military?
Yeah, we apply that to manufacture, say, propellant or rocket propellants or other things. You know, wow. So it's quite diverse. You do find that you know, innovations in other areas can be applied and be an innovation in your own area.
So there's a real knowledge sharing going on in the technology sector, obviously.
Yeah.
And obviously within the organisation you get to participate in that. So, Chris, yeah, where does the future hold? What does computing look like in 2020, 2030?
Yeah, well, that's a long way away. We again, like, things are accelerating so fast, and expecting that you sort of know everything is you know, it's just impossible. So what we find is that targeting people into areas that they're passionate about and really sort of fueling their growth, and become real, you know, experts in those technologies or services is quite handy. And we're at a size where we can sort of do that. A lot of reading, a lot of watching videos, a lot of attending, you know, courses and conventions. It's that continuous learning type thing that is so crucial to what we do. And sharing that internally as well. We have a lot of sessions internally where we're sharing something we've learned, or, you know, sharing those on our internal sort of business social networks and things like that. Things like LinkedIn. I've watched a few of Anthony's videos, which are quite good. You know, so yeah, it's that, things like, as was mentioned, things like AI, VR, AR, a lot of those sort of technologies are fantastic. A lot of the data type things, you know, we've been collecting a lot of data for a lot of clients over a number of years. How do you really create actionable insights out of that for businesses, which is, you know, how do you put some predictions into where your business is going? I think is really important. An understanding of the industries that we're dealing with. I think because we're located in the Goulburn Valley, a lot of the work we do is around agriculture and manufacturing and those sort of things. So having an appreciation or an understanding of the industry in the first place is great. I mean, I grew up on a dairy farm, so those sort of things that I learnt just, you know, as a kid have really sort of served me well going into my career and dealing with those sort of customers as well. So a lot of the simpler things in IT are getting easier. You know, it doesn't take much time now to plug in something and get it on Wi-Fi, but the more complex things are getting even harder. And things like, programming will become even more important going forward. I think it's 1 in 2 jobs that will require some form of programming. So, you know, we're spending a lot of time internally with our software developers, which is really exciting.
Yeah, great. Now, Anthony, did I ask you this question? I'm not sure.
I was just gonna touch on it and sort of back up what Chris just mentioned there in specialising in certain areas, right? So, for example, inside of the digital marketing world, right? As I mentioned, you know, we're always looking for Facebook ad specialists or Google ad specialists, and that also transitions into things like, you know, copywriters and social media managers and creatives, right? I think a really good piece of advice is find something that you enjoy, find something that you want to do, and then work really hard on becoming a specialist in that area, because things are getting more technical, like Chris said, right? Anybody can put a post on social media, right? But not everybody can run highly structured Facebook ad campaigns, okay? And there's a lot of value in that, and that's what companies and businesses look for in talent. It's what we look for, is people who have a really deep knowledge of a particular area. So it's not about being a jack of all trades. It's about finding someone who has a really deep talent in a particular area, and, you know, you're then able to solve people's problems, businesses' problems, and create a lot of value for them.
Yeah, great, excellent. I'm just looking across at the chat bar, and everyone is saying thank you very much for sharing. And what have we got here? Oh, thanks. And Maggie says thanks for the insights into your career areas. She also has a number of students who are looking forward to accessing this content at a later date. So, so the girls from GM have replied there that the recordings will be uploaded to the GM website at the end of the week. People can view them there, which is great. What have we got? It's good to see. It's great to see how the panellists got their roles via pathways other than university. So, yeah, as we said, university is not for everyone, but I think as a young person, if you discover that you have the energy for something, or you complete a task and you feel energized by it, I think you can probably pick up that maybe this is a passion for you, or certainly an interest. And we spend a lot of time at work, don't we? Those who have our own business and obviously work in a big organisation like Ashley, and out and about in the field like Michael, we spend a lot of time at work. It's something that obviously we want to enjoy, because it sort of makes us who we are. So I don't think that we've got any other questions sitting here. So I just want to thank you all. It's been an absolute pleasure for me listening to you and sharing this information. And I'm sure our young people have very much appreciated it. So I'll say I'll say see you later to our attendees, our students. Good luck with future endeavours for these young people. You are the future of our country, and I think growing up in a regional area, you've got a lot more opportunities than maybe what you realise, and I think that hopefully that's what we've got out of today, because there are, so many opportunities for our regional students, and I think being a regional kid growing up and having that background is something that makes you that little bit more grounded. So, and I think that's something that puts you in good stead for employment. Yeah, great. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.